Have you ever observed your body behaving in unfamiliar ways and questioned if it is attempting to communicate something significant, a message you might be overlooking? For many older adults, slight bodily alterations can serve as hushed alerts, indicating that the end of life may be nearer than anyone is aware. These indicators are not always conspicuous or clear. They are frequently gradual, slight transformations that are simple to overlook and are dismissed as mere aspects of growing older. But to disregard them might result in a lost opportunity to take action, get affairs in order, or achieve a sense of closure. In this video, we will reveal 5 crucial warning signals that nearly all seniors display approximately 1 year before they die. This information is gathered from the actual accounts of caregivers, medical professionals, and family members. Please watch this video in its entirety, as identifying these signs will provide you with the knowledge to react thoughtfully, make significant decisions, or perhaps observe something you had previously missed in yourself or a person you care for. Before we start, I would be grateful if you like this video. This allows me to continue sharing important lessons about aging. If you are not yet subscribed, I suggest you subscribe and activate the notification bell so you are alerted to all of our new content. If you appreciate this video, please type the number 1 in the comments. If you do not, please type the number 0 to inform me, enabling me to produce improved videos for you in the future. Now we will begin. Number 1, a greater awareness of temperature and physical feelings. A less frequently talked about, yet remarkably common, indication that an individual may be approaching life's end is an intensified awareness of temperature and bodily sensations. This occurrence often presents itself in slight but perceptible manners. An individual may feel constantly chilly, even in a room that is warm enough for comfort, or they might discover that a blanket they have always used now feels intolerably rough or weighted. Feelings that were previously ignored, such as a slight wind on the skin, water contact during bathing, or even a soft pat, can suddenly seem intensified, unpleasant, or even cause pain. Initially, this could appear as a small peculiarity or a temporary grievance, readily attributed to moodiness or the aging process. However, this heightened sensitivity is often a deep signal of more profound internal bodily changes taking place. Why does this occur? As the body nears the final phases of life, its various systems start to decelerate. One of the most important changes involves circulation. The flow of blood to the limbs, the hands, feet, fingers, and toes, becomes less vigorous as the heart's performance decreases. This diminished circulation can cause the skin to feel colder and more susceptible to external factors. Furthermore, the skin itself undergoes changes. It becomes thinner over time, losing its flexibility and the underlying fat layer that previously offered protection and padding. The body's system for regulating internal temperature also becomes less efficient. Nerve endings can become overly sensitive, causing even mild sensations to feel intense. For instance, a smooth cotton sheet might feel rough, or a room at 70 degrees Fahrenheit could feel freezing. Real-life example. Reflect on the situation of Michael, a 79-year-old former military veteran who enjoyed passing cool winter nights on his porch, wrapped in a light jacket while drinking tea. Over a year, his daughter observed a change. Michael started completely avoiding the outside, even when the weather was pleasant. Indoors, he would wear thick socks, gloves, and several blankets. Despite this, he continued to express that he felt cold. "It's deep in my bones," he would say, even when the indoor temperature was set to a comfortable 75 degrees Fahrenheit. He also began flinching at light contact, like a hand on his shoulder, and stated that his favorite wool sweater felt like rough sandpaper. These changes confused his family until Paul received a diagnosis of advanced heart failure several months later. Looking back, his increased sensitivity to temperature and touch was one of the initial signs that his body was moving into a more subdued, slower stage of life. Emotional and psychological layers. This sensitivity is not only physical, it often has an emotional component. As a person's energy decreases, their ability to handle sensory input also drops. Strong lighting, high volumes, or even active settings that were once pleasant can become too much to handle. This pulling back from sensory stimulation often reflects a larger withdrawal from the outside world as the individual's attention turns inward toward contemplation or repose. For some, This change can feel like a normal part of releasing attachments, while for others, it may lead to irritation or shame, particularly if they find it hard to explain why they feel so uneasy. What you can do, if you see a loved one showing increased sensitivity to temperature or touch, the most helpful reaction is understanding and flexibility. Minor modifications can have a major impact. Control the environment. Maintain rooms at a steady, pleasant temperature, usually between 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit for individuals who feel cold. Utilize safe, portable heaters or electric blankets for direct warmth, ensuring they are used safely and are not overly heavy. Choose soft materials. Select bedding and clothing made from light, airy fabrics, such as cotton or bamboo. Steer clear of rough materials like wool or certain synthetic fabrics that could cause irritation to sensitive skin. Minimize sensory overload. Lower the lighting, decrease ambient noise, and restrict physical interaction to soft, expected touches. Inquire about what the person finds most comfortable instead of making assumptions. Validate their experience. Avoid brushing off their complaints as just part of aging. Recognize their discomfort by saying things like, "I understand this is really uncomfortable for you. Let's figure out how to make you more comfortable." These adjustments might seem small, but they can offer great comfort during a period when ease is crucial. By establishing a calming atmosphere, you're not only alleviating physical discomfort, but also respecting the person's evolving needs with honor and consideration. If you are continuing to watch this video and are finding this information useful, please type the number 1 in the comments to show you are engaged. And if you are not yet subscribed, I suggest you subscribe and activate the notification bell so you do not miss any of our videos. Your support allows us to keep producing quality content to educate and motivate you. Now, let's continue. Number 2, constant tiredness that is not relieved by sleep. Tiredness is something everyone experiences, but there's a clear distinction between fatigue from a busy day and a profound exhaustion that remains even after resting. For many seniors in their last year of life, persistent, unwavering fatigue becomes a defining signal that the body is going through a significant transition. This is not the type of tiredness that can be cured by a full night of sleep or a potent coffee. It is an all-encompassing heaviness that makes basic activities like cleaning one's teeth, putting away clothes, or walking to the kitchen seem like enormous endeavors. This fatigue often indicates that the body is saving energy for its most vital operations as it prepares for more profound rest. Why does this happen? Constant fatigue in the final stages of life frequently arises from a mix of bodily factors. As the heart and blood vessel system becomes weaker, less oxygenated blood gets to the muscles and organs, resulting in a continual feeling of being drained. Long-term inflammation, which is common in aging or terminal diseases, can also drain energy by putting a strain on the immune system. Also, changes in metabolism can reduce the body's capacity to efficiently use nutrients, leaving cells without adequate nourishment. In certain situations, low blood oxygen levels, known as hypoxemia, or hormonal disruptions further intensify the feeling of exhaustion. This fatigue is not solely physical. It can appear mentally as confusion, trouble focusing, or a loss of drive to participate in activities that were once loved. Consider Mira, a 74-year-old woman who was a central figure in her community, well known for her dedicated participation in her church choir and local volunteer organizations. Over several months, her friends observed her reducing her activities. She began missing choir practices, handed her volunteer tasks to others, and started refusing offers to social gatherings. "I'm just exhausted," she would explain, blaming on a full calendar or a night of poor sleep. But the reality was more significant. Even brief walks to her mailbox left her needing to catch her breath, and no quantity of sleep appeared to restore her energy. Despite consuming nutritious meals and following a healthy lifestyle, the fatigue continued. Eventually, physicians found that Myra's heart was having difficulty pumping effectively, a condition that had been slowly advancing. Her persistent exhaustion was one of the first indicators that her body was slowing down. Emotional and social impact. This kind of fatigue often impacts more than just the person experiencing it. It affects their social connections. Family and friends might mistake the withdrawal for a lack of interest or sadness, which can create confusion. The individual might feel annoyed or blame themselves for not being able to overcome the tiredness, especially if they have historically been energetic or self-reliant. Socially, they may withdraw from activities they previously enjoyed, not because they no longer find them interesting, but because the energy needed feels too great. What you can do: identifying persistent fatigue as a potential sign of decline demands empathy and active assistance. Encourage medical evaluation. Persistent fatigue should never be written off as just a part of aging. Recommend a visit to a doctor to eliminate manageable causes, such as anemia, thyroid problems, or adverse effects of medications. If it is connected to a terminal condition, identify it early can inform care choices. Adapt daily routines. Divide activities into smaller, more achievable parts. For example, instead of anticipating a full morning routine, propose one activity at a time, such as washing their face or having a small snack. Prioritize restful activities assist them in discovering low-energy methods to remain involved, like hearing audiobooks, viewing preferred programs, or having brief, significant talks. Offer emotional support recognize their fatigue without criticism. Statements like, "I can tell you're feeling very tired. Let's proceed gently together," can affirm their feelings and lessen sensations of being alone. Persistent fatigue is one of the body's most truthful signals. It is not about idleness or an absence of determination. It is a sign that the body is reallocating its finite resources. By reacting with patience and comprehension, you can help lessen the load and create opportunities for connection that are deeply meaningful. Number 3, slight alterations in voice and manner of speaking. The human voice is a potent tool, expressing feeling, character, and liveliness. When that voice starts to become quieter, slower, or unsteady, it is easy to ascribe the difference to aging or tiredness. However, in many seniors, especially in their final year of life, slight modifications in voice and speech patterns can act as quiet yet important markers of more profound physical and physiological shifts. These changes are often missed because they appear slowly, but they hold deep significance when considered alongside a general health decline. Why does this happen? Speech depends on a complicated coordination of muscles in the throat, mouth, tongue, and diaphragm, all of which need energy and control. As the body preserves energy in its final stages, these muscles can weaken, leading to a voice that is softer, hoarser, or less clear. Decreased lung capacity or weakened diaphragm muscles can make it more difficult to produce sound, leading to a quieter or more breathy voice. Neurological changes, like those associated with early dementia or stroke, can also impact speech clarity, though not all vocal changes are cognitive in nature. Often, the person simply does not have the energy to talk loudly or maintain lengthy discussions. Therefore, they may speak less or stop more often. These changes can also be affected by a lack of fluids, side effects from medications, or reduced saliva production, which influences clear pronunciation. Raymond, an 80-year-old former school principal, was renowned for his powerful voice that could capture attention anywhere. His wife, Mary, started to notice slight differences. His once energetic good morning became a soft murmur, and he ceased participating in animated family talks. During discussions, he would pause for longer periods between words or not finish his sentences. "It's just my throat being difficult," he would say, dismissing it. As time passed, his voice became so soft that it was difficult to hear him from across the table. Within a year, Raymond's health worsened quickly, and doctors clarified that his vocal changes were linked to overall muscle weakening and reduced energy reserves, early indicators of his body's transition toward the end of life. Subtle signs to watch for: a voice that is softer or seems more delicate, particularly in someone who was previously loud or articulate. Longer hesitations between words or sentences, as if forming words requires great effort. More repetition, or losing one's train of thought during a conversation. An inclination to speak less or steer clear conversations completely, especially in social situations. Slurred speech or uncertainty in speaking, particularly in the evening when energy is at its lowest. Emotional and social implications. These changes can lead to isolation. A person who once enjoyed sharing anecdotes or discussing concepts may feel irritated or embarrassed about their weakening voice. Loved ones might misread their silence as a lack of interest or mental decline, which can damage relationships. For the individual, speaking less may represent a deliberate or unconscious decision to save energy for more critical functions like breathing or remaining aware. What you can do: Reacting to vocal changes requires patience and careful attention. Listen actively, move closer, eliminate background noise, and allow the person ample time to communicate without interruption. This demonstrates respect for their effort to speak. Encourage hydration. A dry mouth can worsen speech issues. Provide water or sugar-free candies to maintain moisture in the mouth. Seek medical input. A speech-language pathologist or physician can evaluate if the changes are due to treatable issues, such as medication side effects, or are part of a broader decline. Adapt communication. Use written messages, hand signals, or simple yes/no questions if verbal communication becomes too difficult. For instance, ask, "Are you comfortable?" instead of broad questions that need detailed answers. These vocal shifts are more than just a sign of aging. They are a glimpse into the body's changing focus. By observing and responding with consideration, you can help preserve connection and respect during a time when communication requires more effort. Number 4, slight changes in how a person breathes. Breathing is a consistent rhythm of life, typically so automatic that we rarely pay attention to it until it alters. In the final year of life, slight modifications in breathing patterns can appear as a quiet yet strong sign that the body is moving into a new stage. These changes are often so slow that they are missed, but they hold considerable meaning when watched carefully. Identifying these patterns can provide understanding of a person's health and create chances to offer solace and help. Why does this happen? As the body ages or approaches life's end, the respiratory and cardiovascular systems experience notable changes. The lungs lose their ability to stretch, making it more difficult to take deep, complete breaths. The diaphragm and ribcage muscles that aid in breathing become weaker, leading to breaths that are shallower or require more effort. If the heart has difficulty pumping effectively, the delivery of oxygen throughout the body is reduced, causing the respiratory system to adapt with changed breathing patterns. Ailments such as heart failure, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, or terminal illnesses can worsen these changes, leading to symptoms like wheezing, gasping, or irregular breathing rhythms. One particular pattern, known as Cheyne-Stokes respiration, is especially common in the later stages. This involves periods of quick breathing followed by slower breaths and short stops, apnea, often happening during sleep. While this can be disturbing for loved ones to see, it is usually not painful for the person experiencing it. These changes reflect the body's effort to conserve energy and manage oxygen when its resources are limited. Tessie, a 76-year-old grandmother, began to show slight breathing changes that her daughter noticed during telephone calls. Margaret's voice sounded somewhat strained, as if she had to catch her breath after a brief walk. She would dismiss it, saying, "I just walked across the room too quickly." Over time, however, she began to avoid long conversations, using tiredness as a reason. At night, her family observed that she sighed often or had pauses between her breaths. Months later, Tessie was diagnosed with advanced pulmonary fibrosis, a condition that had been progressing quietly. Her breathing changes were among the first indicators that her body was finding it hard to cope. Subtle signs to watch for: breathing that is shallow or irregular, particularly during rest or sleep. A soft wheeze, cough, or gasping sound that was not there before. Frequent sighing or pauses between breaths, often done without conscious thought. Complaints of shortness of breath or chest pressure, even without physical activity. Increased tiredness or agitation at night, potentially related to interrupted breathing. If you're still watching this video and are finding these insights beneficial, please type the number 2 in the comments to let me know you are here. And if you are not yet subscribed, I suggest you subscribe and activate the notification bell so you do not miss any of our videos. Your support helps us to continue making quality content to educate and inspire you. Now, let's proceed. Psychological and emotional connections. Breathing is deeply connected to emotional health. As the body nears the end of life, worry or a general sense of discomfort can show itself as shortness of breath or chest tightness. These feelings may not always be expressed in words, but they can lead to restlessness or a preference for calmer, less stimulating surroundings. Conversely, difficulties with breathing can increase anxiety, creating a cycle that intensifies both physical and emotional distress. What you can do: responding to breathing changes requires a mix of careful observation and tenderness. Observe closely. Pay attention to the rhythm, depth, and effort of breathing, especially when the person is at rest or asleep. Take note of any patterns, such as pauses or wheezing, and report them to a healthcare professional. Create a calming environment. Reduce physical and emotional stress by keeping the room quiet, with good airflow, and free from strong smells or irritants. Raising the head with extra pillows can make breathing easier during sleep. Encourage medical assessment. Breathing changes can come from treatable causes like asthma, sleep apnea, or medication side effects. A doctor can decide if measures like oxygen therapy or adjusting medications are suitable. Offer reassurance. If the person seems worried about their breathing, provide serene, comforting support. Simple breathing exercises, like slow inhalations and exhalations, can be helpful if they are able to take part. Breathing changes are a reminder of a profound link between the body and the mind. By paying attention to these subtle rhythms, you can provide comfort and support care that respects the person's needs during this sensitive phase of life. Number 5, increasing apathy regarding daily habits and self-care. For many individuals, daily habits such as combing their hair, dressing tidily, or making food are manifestations of their self-identity and self-respect. When these practices start to diminish, when a person who was once very careful about their look ceases to be concerned with grooming or misses meals without giving a reason, it is frequently a sign of a more profound change. In the final year of life, increasing apathy toward personal hygiene and daily routines can indicate that the body and mind are shifting energy away from external tasks and toward internal reflection or rest. Why does this happen? This apathy often comes from a combination of physical and emotional reasons. Physical. This increasing apathy often stems from a combination of physical and emotional factors. Physically, the profound fatigue and energy conservation we discussed earlier make the simple acts of showering, dressing, or preparing food feel like insurmountable tasks. The body is directing all remaining energy toward its most essential internal functions. Emotionally and psychologically, as an individual nears the end of life, their focus often turns inward. The external world, including social conventions and personal appearance, can begin to feel distant or less important compared to a process of internal reflection, making peace with one's life, or simply resting. This is not a sign of giving up, but rather a natural, gradual process of letting go and withdrawing from the world. In closing, recognizing these 5 signs: increased sensitivity to temperature and touch, persistent fatigue, subtle changes in voice and speech, altered breathing patterns, and growing indifference to daily routines, is not about fostering fear, but about cultivating awareness and empathy. These are the body's quiet, yet profound, signals that it is transitioning. By understanding these signs, we can shift from being passive observers to becoming compassionate, proactive supporters. We can respond not with alarm, but with grace, making thoughtful choices about care, prioritizing comfort, and creating a supportive environment that honors a person's dignity. This knowledge empowers us to offer the greatest gifts during this tender time: our presence, our understanding, and our unwavering care, ensuring that our loved one's final journey is met with peace and respect. Thank you for spending this time with us today. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned and how you'll apply it in your life. Your comments inspire us to keep going. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to Elderly Health Tips and share. Your support makes it possible for us to continue creating content that informs and uplifts. We appreciate you watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.